Welcome to Toyota Time with Timmy the Toolman and Sean. Today we have something a little bit different. We're not going to be showing any wrenching. We're just going to have a nice little discussion. And the discussion we're going to have today is why it's beneficial to be a do-it-yourself auto mechanic. The idea for this video came about when I recently did a repair on my girlfriend's 1999 BMW Z3 Roadster. It's this cute little convertible thing. And when she was telling me several years ago she was going to buy it from a friend, I told her, please don't buy this BMW. They're harder to work on, the parts are expensive, but she had to have it. So over the course of her ownership of this vehicle, I've had to do some repairs. One was the front struts needed replacing. Another one was the water pump went out. Another one was the shift fork for a reverse gear went bad and it would pop out a gear. You would put it in reverse, engage the clutch, and it would slip out a gear. And the last repair I just got done doing is a starter replacement. Now, when the shift fork went bad, I took her vehicle to a friend's house in Nevada City, which is about 4 hours away from us. He has a outbuilding with a lift, and he's a self-trained mechanic. He's an older guy, even older than this old codger here. He grew up on a farm with his brother, and they just turned wrenches on farm equipment and vehicles, and they taught themselves auto mechanics. So at his house in Nevada City, we pulled the transmission out. He was able to rebuild the transmission, replacing the shift fork and other bearings and seals. And then when he got it all back together, then I went back over to his house and I helped him put it back in. And it was a pretty difficult job. When I was helping him do this job, I was noticing, wow, that starter is in a really bad place. That's going to be a super hard thing to replace if we ever have to do it. Well, it happened. And I wasn't too happy about it. And my girlfriend says, well, I'll just take it to a shop. I'll take it to a shop. And I said, no, I'll do it. I don't want you to pay the exorbitant fees that shops are going to charge you. And I got it done. I was curious to know how much money did I actually save my girlfriend. So I called up a few local dealerships in the California Bay Area. The first time I called, it was on a Saturday, and all of them were so busy taking in BMWs for service, not one service writer could talk to me. I left my phone number with all three of these dealerships, and not one of them even returned my call. So obviously, they don't have any problem getting enough business. They're making tons of money in those service departments at those dealerships. So I called on another day, and I finally get a hold of one, and the service writer tells me, he's like, oh yeah, that job would run about $1,400. And he didn't really give me like a concrete answer. He just said somewhere in that neck of the woods. He didn't give me a breakdown of the cost of the parts and the cost of the labor. So I called another dealership and I got a more helpful answer. So this guy told me, yep, the starter is going to cost you $330 and the job bills 3.4 hours and we charge $239 an hour for labor. So the job at this dealership was going to cost around $1,200. Well, I was able to locate a starter for sale from an online BMW part seller, and I got it for $200. When I found out that price, I decided, well, maybe one of the local dealers will wheel and deal with me and give me a price closer to that online price, and I'll support a local business in my area. When I asked them if they would come anywhere close to the online price, the guy just flat out says, nope, we don't price match. We don't wheel and deal. That's the price. I'm like, okay, well, you could have got some business and made some money, but now you're going to get no money. And I bought it online for $200 and it got to my house in like 3 days. So my girlfriend thought that, hey, this could be something good to share with your audience of the kind of money you can save. So if I was lazy and I just said, okay, my girlfriend's name is Allison. Allison, yeah, go take it to a shop. She could have got soaked at a local BMW dealer for anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400. I literally saved her somewhere around $1,000 to $1,200, which is a lot of freaking money. Even in the Bay Area where people are making tons of money at Apple and Google and eBay and whatever other high earning places that people work at in the Bay Area, to anybody, that's still a lot of money. So the moral of the story is doing your own wrenching on your vehicles is going to save you a ton of money if you're willing to do it. Now, I understand that there's some situations where people just can't get it done. Number one, they're just a super busy person. Their job is super demanding. They work a ton of hours. They have a family with kids, and they're one day off a week. They just don't want to spend that time in the garage working on their vehicle. They'd rather spend it with their family, and I get it. I understand that. Another situation is the person lives in a condo or they live in an apartment and there's no garage, and you don't have the space to work on it. I get that too. Some people might say, well, it's my only vehicle. I don't want to get really deep into a repair. Something goes wrong and now I don't have transportation to pick up my kids from school or to get to work the next day. Well, the way around that is I highly suggest you get yourself a second vehicle. For the longest time, I was in the same situation. I had a single vehicle and I let that deter me from getting involved in more intricate repairs because I thought, yeah, something could happen and I can't get to work and I need that for transportation. Now I have 3 vehicles. I'm kind of on that route of becoming a Toyota hoarder. I have a 98 4Runner, I have a 2000 4Runner, and I now have an 85 4Runner. But having extra vehicles will make the more involved jobs easier to accomplish because now you're not stressed out. It's like, oh man, this went wrong. The dealership is closed and I can't get that part till the next day. So now I'm stuck. I have to rent a car or I have to call for an Uber to get me to work. So if you have that backup vehicle, that takes a lot of the stress off of getting the repair done in a certain amount of time. Now you can do it at your leisure because you have that other vehicle for transportation. The other excuse that people say is like, well, I don't have the tools. Well, this is what I always tell people. Make the investment. For this situation that my girlfriend was in, basically it was going to be $900 in labor, and then they're going to charge over $100 more than what you can get the starter online. I saved $1,000. Just think how many tools you can buy with $1,000. That's a lot of freaking tools. So don't let that deter you. I always tell people over and over and over again, I'm like a broken record. If you have the right information, you have the right tools, and you possess the right level of patience, you can do your own wrenching on your vehicles. It's not rocket science. For the right information, you can find videos on YouTube like our channel provides. For the right tools, I like buying a lot of my tools on Amazon because I could look up the tool I'm looking for, I could find a tool that gets really good reviews, and that's usually how I make my tool purchases. I look at the reviews, they get great reviews, they're highly recommended, and I pull the trigger and I buy it because I know that tool is going to allow me to do a job that I thought was not possible, but now that I have the right tool, I can do the job and I can get it done and save a bunch of money. So the money I saved on the labor is going to pay for those tools, and the fact that I get to keep that tool and use it for future jobs is just going to keep on saving me money. So it's a very worthwhile investment. Now, the right level of patience, well, I can't help you there. You either possess it or you don't. But if you get frustrated on a job like we all do, there's plenty of swearing that goes on in my garage. We just don't put it in the video because maybe YouTube won't approve of it and flag our video for being improper or whatever. So, we don't put the swearing in. But yeah, there's tons of swearing that goes on. I get frustrated. And you know what I do? I walk away, I take a break, and then I go back after I've calmed down a little bit because you run into problems, especially for the guys in the Rust Belt. You got frozen fasteners, you break off a bolt, you strip a bolt, and it gets frustrating. But you know what you do? You take a break, take a deep breath, you come back to it, and you overcome the obstacle, and you get it done. And afterwards, you get that great sense of accomplishment. Man, I freaking did it. I was successful, I saved myself a ton of money, and I've got all that sense of accomplishment and experience now that's going to help me maybe down the road, or it's going to help somebody else out on a Toyota forum. Someone's going to have the same problem, and you're going to be able to help walk that person through the same problem you had and how you overcame it. It's a win-win on multiple levels. Some people think that, okay, well, easy for you to say, Timmy the Toolman, you have this mechanical aptitude, that's enabling you to be able to do this stuff. That's not true either. I would say my mechanical aptitude is probably about average. There's some guys that are super talented. They could just look at something and say, oh yeah, I got to take this off, and they just could see it in their head, and they just have a great mechanical mind. That's not me. I'm pretty much middle of the road. There's a lot of people more mechanically inclined than me, but the reason why I'm telling you that and honest about my mechanical ability is because if I can do it, that means you can do it. It's a thing you can learn. Don't sell yourself short. Don't think that, oh, I can't do this. You can learn it. So if you're intimidated by auto mechanics, because it can be intimidating, start off small. Start off with an easy oil change. Start off by greasing the Zerk fittings on your U-joints and your drive shaft slip yokes. Start off by changing the brake pads on your front disc brakes. Easy things that are going to build your confidence. And then as you gain more confidence, you'll go for the more involved jobs like a timing belt job. Trust me on this. Don't let auto mechanics intimidate you. You are perfectly capable of doing this type of work. It's not rocket science. A little bit of how I got into turning wrenches was basically out of necessity. When I was a young kid, I had to start working because there wasn't just a lot of money, and I wanted to buy certain things. I wanted to get myself a skateboard and a bicycle and different things. And so at a young age, I started working as a paperboy for the San Jose Mercury News. I started at age 11. And I would buy things that I wanted, like a skateboard or a bicycle, like I said. And when they broke down, there wasn't money to take it to a shop to get it fixed. I figured it out myself. I used the crescent wrench or the channel locks that was in the toolbox in my family's garage, and I figured out how to fix it. As time went on, I bought a moped. I bought a go-kart. And then as I got older, I bought my first vehicle, which was a 68 Ford Bronco. Pretty nice rig. I wish I still had it. Kicked myself every day for getting rid of it, but at the time it was the right decision to not have two vehicles. So when I was in high school in the late 70s and early 80s, all my friends turned wrenches. I had a friend with a Camaro Z28. I had a friend with a Dodge Charger. I had a friend with a Chevy Malibu. I had a friend with an old Toyota pickup. And we all turned wrenches. It was just something we did in that generation. I'm at the end of the baby boomer generation, but we all turned wrenches. Now it seems younger generations aren't really turning wrenches like when I was a kid. As a firefighter, I help train new firefighters, and some of these guys are in their early 20s and they know absolutely nothing about auto mechanics. So I'm trying to share as much of my knowledge as I can with them when I'm helping train them. So auto mechanics is becoming kind of a lost art, and I know also what's changed is that they're no longer offering auto shop in high school or metal shop or wood shop because the funds aren't there for those elective, which is sad because I think those are important skills to teach kids. So because my Bronco needed work, I learned how to turn wrenches on that Bronco, and then I also worked at a Chevron gas station where I did a lot of minor repairs. And that's how I got my start in auto mechanics. And then over the years, I never really progressed. I kind of kept it at a very minor level. I did fluid renewals. I did easy tune-ups. I didn't really delve deeper into auto mechanics for a long, long time until I got my 2004 Runner and I needed a job done. It was the rear axle seal job. I went on Toyota forums and I learned that you need a press, you need a special axle tool, and I told myself, well, I don't have a press, I don't have the axle tool, so I'm gonna take it to the dealership and let them do it because they are the professionals and they'll get it done for me. Well, that job, which included doing the rear brakes, cost me $1,500. And that was when their labor rate was $150 an hour. Now their labor rate is $200 an hour. So they got the job done, and then I started doing more research about the job online. I found this good thread by this guy. His screen name is Dr. Coffee, And I learned that you can pull out the ABS sensors out of the ends of the axle housing, and you can peer in there to see if the axle seals are holding. And what I found out is that my driver's side axle seal was already letting gear oil get past it. And I realized they botched the job. The supposed professionals that should know how to work on these vehicles botched it. So I had to go back to the dealership. I talked to the mechanic, and then I asked them to do the grease test right in front of me to see where the seal was riding on the retainer, and it was barely riding on there. In so many words, I schooled the mechanic right in front of a bunch of his coworkers, and actually one of the senior mechanics pointed at me and then pointed at the mechanic and says, "Hey, you just learned something from this guy," meaning he learned something from me. And that got me thinking, here I'm paying my hard-earned money for them to do the job right, and they messed it up. So that really got me off my butt to start delving deeper into more intricate repairs that I was a little bit intimidated by, like a timing belt job, like that rear axle seal job. So I decided to make the investment in buying the tools I needed. And then I met Sean one day helping him with his valve cover gasket job. And then the rest is history. And we started making more videos and our channel was born. In regards to our videos, some people have been critical that our videos are too long. You're boring us because it's just way too long. Well, there's a reason behind why our videos are so long and so detailed, because we're not gearing the videos to the experienced mechanic or experienced do-it-yourselfer. We're gearing our videos to the absolute beginner because we want to empower people to do their own wrenching. So we know if we give people a very detailed video, it will hopefully inspire them to do the job because they have everything there that they need. All they got to do is maybe make an investment in some tools or rent some tools at an auto parts store, and then they can get the job done. If we cut corners and don't show people all the necessary steps, then we're doing our audience a disservice. We want people to be successful, so we're not scared to put up an hour-long video because we know by putting up that very detailed video, everybody can be successful, not just the experienced mechanic or do-it-yourselfer, but the total beginner. And what's nice is that we've gotten plenty of comments over the years from people telling us exactly what we wanted to hear. They tell us, "Timmy, Sean, thank you so much for that video because it gave me the confidence to do the job. Without your video, I wouldn't have even tried this job. I would have thought it was above my ability." So in closing, please, 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 please don't let auto mechanics intimidate you.
You can do it!
You can do it. Do not sell yourself short. Just like anything, auto mechanics is something you can learn. If you're a woman, you can do it too. Don't think because you're a woman, you can't turn your own wrenches. Because especially for women, women get taken to the cleaners by a lot of dishonest shops. They see a woman and they just see money because they think, oh, this woman doesn't know anything about auto mechanics and I could take advantage of her. How do I know this? Is because it's happened to my girlfriend and it's happened to my mother. Two examples. When my girlfriend took her BMW to get an oil change when I was really busy and she just needed an oil change, she took it to a place and they saw one of her struts was leaking a little bit. They tried to get her on the spot to authorize $800 to replace the two struts. And I was so thankful that she didn't do that. She came to me and she told me about it and I took a look at it. It's like, oh yeah, your driver's side front strut is leaking just a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna replace those struts for you and I guarantee that you're gonna be able to notice no difference driving. The total imperative repair that they were trying to get you to buy into, that you had to do it right now, they were lying to you. So I replaced the struts. My girlfriend took it for a drive, couldn't tell any difference. And I said, see, I told you. They were just trying to take advantage of you because you're a woman. In my mom's case, she takes it to a pretty good Honda repair shop. They specialize in Hondas. And they told her her rear brakes needed doing. I said, okay, Mom, come on over, I'll take a look. I took a look at it. She had a ton of meat left on those pads. There was a ton of meat left. So I was like, God, I thought this shop was good. I thought they were a real honest shop, but you have tons of pad material left. You're nowhere even close to needing a brake job. Another thing they told her is that you have an axle shaft leak on the front of your vehicle. So I took a look at that. It's barely a trickle. It's getting just a little bit wet. And I told my mom, I said, yeah, it's leaking, but do you need to do it now? No, it's not even a bad leak. Even if it got a lot worse, what's the worst that could happen? You have to top off the fluid every so often, no big deal. I've driven vehicles with oil leaks galore, and as long as it's not pouring out, you can live with oil leaks. There's no real urgency to go fix that oil leak. Just drive it and check your oil every so often and keep an eye on it. That's all you got to do. If you're a woman, don't let auto mechanics intimidate you. You can turn wrenches just like guys can turn wrenches. Also, there's plenty of women on YouTube that turn wrenches, and there's shows like All Girls Garage, so you can watch those women turn wrenches and then hopefully get inspired by them. Whatever is going to work to inspire you, do it. In closing, if you were thinking about getting into doing your own automotive work, I hope this video inspired you to take up the challenge. If you're someone that already turns wrenches, I hope it helped to reaffirm what you're doing is really good. You're saving yourself a lot of money. You're learning about auto mechanics, which is a skill that you can pass on to your son or your daughter or to other people online. It's a worthwhile way to spend your time on many levels. With all that said, we thank you for watching Toyota Time with Timmy the Toolman and Sean. We will be back with more videos. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, do that below. Take care. Bye-bye. Sip mods. And happy do-it-yourself wrenching, people. You can do it. Peace out. Bye-bye.
You can do it!